Good morning all. Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. V.V. Sambat Kumar for his nice introduction. Before moving on my experience in the book, I would first like to thank our chief guest. He is kind enough to accept it, and guest of honor, and my brother guru in my law profession journey. In fact, I took training under him before I took up the law under Vanakamudi sir. So I thought I would not be doing it justice if I'm not having him as one of the guests here. And our chief guest, needless to say, he is very much kind enough to accept immediately to encourage this noble cause. And other special guest all happens to be my well-wishers and few of my clients also. So I take privilege to thank each and everyone for readily accepting to be the guest for this occasion and giving enlightenment to this entire show. Before we were discussing about to call about chief guest, we were having so many names in mind, and immediately struck me that we should call judiciary, because we are something dealing with the book and the law. And if it is not released by a judicial authority, then it won't have a real meaning of releasing a book with. So immediately it struck me, and I checked with my friend, who is happened to be a law college classmate also, Mr. Satish Kumar. He immediately suggested P.N. Prakash sir, and one good thing is that sir is very he is more into a criminal side of exposure and practice. Now he is trying the matters also more on criminal side. Recent judgment I happen to see, it's a fantastic observation that he has made in that judgment. Seeing that, I was so happy to invite him as a chief guest. He has also accepted, kind enough to accept it. Sir, one big reason I have called you as a chief guest, sir. Though Companies Act 2013, that you may feel it's a civil act, now in fact the whole situation has got changed by virtue of introduction of Companies Act 2013. In fact, it is not out of place to mention about the fact, being an author of book, I can take a privilege to talk something on the act, because I'm traveling, I'll be traveling in the entire provisions of the Companies Act in terms of implementation to the corporate and professionals. In fact, the main reason where I was feeling so happy to calling as chief guest, now the Companies Act 2013, which was originally looked upon as a civil act, now almost it will be looked upon as a criminal side of transactions or criminal side of provisions going forward. As rightly you pointed out, say section 447, that which accidentally it covered in section, page number 420. That I should thank you for observing this, which in the in our difficulty and in our urgency we have not observed that, but it has so happened that it occupies the space of page number 420, exactly the definition called fraud. So one important point, I don't think it's not a place to mention, it's a proper place to mention, that I don't know what the lawmakers, what the legislation they would have thought why they enacted the definition of fraud. The fraud definition is not available in any of the Indian laws. This is the first time in Indian law, a law of country, carrying a definition what is called fraud. And you can take it for example, Indian Contract Act, it only defines about fraudulent contracts. Take it for example, the IPC, it only defines on fraudulent activities. Nowhere it is covered, or the definition called fraud is covered. But India must be the first country to define the fraud, and to see that all white collar criminals are brought under the ambit of the fraud. But here the important thing that probably the legislature, the lawmaker can look upon going forward, that few enterprises, few corporate, they dealt with certain different activities, and now we are ended up to seeing this kind of provisions where the entire corporate, almost 14 lakhs companies in India, going to follow this punishment provision called the 447, just for the reason because of the action or inaction of the few corporate. But if you can see the definition of 447, sir, in fact, the entire Companies Act, you can ignore everything if you know only 447 alone. You can ignore everything but if you ignore 447, then you are ignoring entire act. The reason being, the 447, it covers everything. In fact, it starts itself that fraud includes, is an inclusive definition. That includes everything under the sky. And it says, any act, any omission, any commission, everything is covered in that. I think our honorable chief guest, Justice, will second my points.
That's why he said there's a more.
It's not Dr. Mohan sir alone should be here. It's a prerogative of every corporate and business and entrepreneur should aware what is happening in the new position of the company, what has happened, what has gone through into the minds of the legislature, and what has come into the form of the act as called the Companies Act 2013. If you see the definition of fraud, it covers everything under the sky. In fact, it starts any person, any act, any omission. Sir, we have to be very much scared to do anything. Going forward, as a consultant or professional, even for corporate also, because it's not leaving anything. It says any act, any commission, any omission. Whether you do or keep quiet also, it is covered. What you are expected to do. And it says any act, any omission, commission done by any person, it's not leaving with that. Any person, any other person. So I may need your suggestion or your comments also when you happens to see that. The law, they want to be very careful to see that nothing is stripped out of the scope of these sections. So they say it is covering any person, any other person. Against any person, any other person. This is the entire drafting of the fraud. So by seeing that, the language, how it appears in the fraud, any person can be brought within the ambit of the scope of the section 447. So really speaking, the entire Companies Act 2013, though we put our effort to bring it in a simple way, but one fact that we have to admit, it is so tough law to understand, it's so tough law to implement. And going forward, really we are worried, but government is taking every effort now to dilute. In fact, that's what all we are gathered here, and we are having chief guest to introduce. In fact, we will be having the similar kind of occasion next year also. The speed that the government is changing the law of Companies Act 2013. In fact, after we given the book for printing, we keep getting updates, circulars and notifications. You will not believe we start the printing and we give the updates to them. So that's the level the government, they are giving the importance and they are trying to dilute the toughest provisions of the Companies Act. Now almost the government is trying to bring at par to the old Companies Act 1956, but to some extent. The reason being, the main things they were not diluted, called, as rightly pointed out, fraud. That's not diluted, that's not touched. So as long as that's not touched, there is no point wherever we are diluting the entire act. In fact, the request from our side as a team to the government or the lawmakers or judiciary that you please look upon to the professionals as a professional, a businessman as a businessman. In fact, there is a difference between the, I know chief guest is there, to second my view, there should be a mens rea in any of the art, anything we do. And there should be a personal injury or personal deprivation should be there in anything to deem it as a criminal. So we are having an expert of criminal side. But here the Companies Act, all should be looked as a civil act. Because everything works on the judgment. Judgment sometimes may go wrong. I mean to say business judgment. The business judgment always tend to go wrong, tend to go right. But where when the situation is this, it is very difficult to ensure every business achievement to fall within the ambit of the provisions of Companies Act, though it may happen without the knowledge of the business community also. Though they endeavor to do something good, in the process they may end up with the violating the provision of the Companies Act 2013. But end of the day, now the slip is given. The only thing that we have to understand, the law, as Sir said, the Companies Act has got evolved from the time of East Indian Company, and it has got evolved to regulate the entire corporate and shareholders and market. Because we are having the Companies Act 2013 is a glorified version of 1956, and that is in a glorified version of 1913 Act. Then again, that is a glorified version of the English Act. The whole aim and intention of the Act just to regulate the corporate. But we have to really understand that a child, the parents beating a child is not to punish it. It's to see that they are regulated. So that is the intention, must be the intention of the government to bring a law with these strict provisions whereby they want to ensure the business communities are regulated and they are properly tuned and they are setting the tone to the proper path whereby without violating the provision that they can able to make it happen a business and do profit and pay taxes whatever applicable to them. With respect to the book, I really should share this particular thing. It's not an individual effort, it's a team effort. In fact, I should thank my core team members, Ms. Smita Chirimar and Mr. Ramanathan, who took enormous effort to collide the whole thing and put it in a particular place. And of course, it's not the view of, that's what I always say to my client also, whenever I advise, the 1956 Act, those days are gone, where you can call me and ask me simply, I'll tell you something which is already settled in law. But now 2013, it has to evolve over a period of time. Whenever my clients call me or whoever takes my advice, I'll always say that, give some time, let me have a comment of my team. Because now, no one can take an individual decision what it is there in the store. Because everyone have a different perception. Till the law is settled, no one can authoritatively to say, this is right, this is wrong. So this is a team effort, and rather I should say, a coming out of book, it's almost like a lady giving a birth of child. Till the book is coming out, just a lady, how she will imagine and see that how the child will be after its birth. Till we see the final copy, we'll be having that real feeling only that how our book would come out, and but it should not happen, something is missed out. How much of effort we put, but end of the day, single thing gone wrong, then the whole thing will go. It's like a drop of poison in the milk, because that will be taken as an example. A single wrong will be completely spoil the entire book. So as an author and as a team members, we were so cautious to ensure that nothing should go wrong. And one thing is sure, we have ensured in the entire Companies Act 2013, Guide to Companies Act 2013, that the law that we are discussing, whatever it is, we always try to say the maximum compliances. Wherever there is no clarity, we always suggest corporate or professional to see that they are complying it when there is no clarity. Because the benefit of doubt always should be given to the corporate. So the corporate and professional should ensure that they are complying rather than they are avoiding the compliances by means of interpretation till the law is settled. With this prelude, and I would like to thank each and everyone, and more specifically I would like to thank my spouse who is sitting here, Ms. Lavanya. Without her, without the freedom or liberty that she has given to me, this would not have happened, no doubt at all. There is a woman behind, every successful man. She is there behind me, giving a liberty, freedom, and space that every man should have. Thank you so much. Thank you each and everyone who has taken active participation. I thank you once again, our chief guest, guest of honor, all my special guests who readily accepted. Sir, I am grateful to you to my lifetime. Thank you each and everyone. gathered here. Thank you so much.